Huddled behind the wheel of a streamlined juggernaut, the most skillful speed pilot faces death a dozen times a day for the privilege of following the needle around a tachometer dial in this try-hard, die-hard test of man and machine. In Africa, the smell of benzol and smoking rubber proclaims the start of the great Tripoli race. Fastest of all road races, Tripoli is one of the most spectacular events on the international sports calendar. The surging power of the supercharged engines gives wings to their wheels. Stirring duels between ace drivers add to the excitement of team competition and offer plenty of piston-pounding thrills to please the gallery. At nearly 200 miles per hour, the pilot of the fastest car crosses the line to victory. The biggest continental sports event is the annual Grand Prix, which draws hundreds of thousands of spectators to the famous Nürburgring. Automobile racing is a major sport in this country, and the successful driver becomes a national hero. On this fast and tortuous course, which winds for 14 miles through the magnificent scenery of the Eiffel Forest, there are hazards to test the courage of the most masterful drivers. Skill and chance play their part in deciding the result, but most of the credit belongs to the unsung heroes of the sport, the mechanics, whose teamwork in the pits is a miracle of efficiency. Perfect coordination between driver and pit crew means valuable time saved when every second counts. These streamlined speed wagons weigh only half as much as an ordinary passenger car, but their engines have 400 to 500 horsepower with sound effects in proportion. And once in a while, the cameraman gets a chance for a real close-up. An exciting feature of the Nürburgring course is the celebrated carousel, a 6-foot wide strip of banked concrete on the inside of a flat turn. Here's the proper driving technique. Through a haze of blue smoke, a weary pilot sees the checkered flag that signals his victory, and he pulls in to receive the laurels that belong to the champion. In England, a private estate is the setting for the newest of Grand Prix events, in which continental motor races shatter the peace of the English countryside as they attempt to dodge the livestock and miss the more massive bits of scenery. A bump strategically placed on the 100-mile-per-hour straightaway makes all 4 wheels leave the ground. This exciting sport is the sort of racing familiar to European speed fans. But in America, road racing is practically unknown, while track racing is becoming one of our most popular sports. The typical county fair, 20th century style, often features automobile competition on a dirt track originally intended for horse racing. In addition, there are many courses designed specifically for race cars. To these tracks come some of the most daring speed merchants in the world, for dirt track racing is definitely a business proposition. Stripped down to bare essentials to reduce weight, dirt track cars have no starter, so they must be towed to get the engine going. After that, all the driver has to do is stay on the track and try to keep his car out in front to the finish. The green flag drops and they're off to a roaring start. On the fastest circular mile track in the world, experienced stars of the speedway fight it out on even terms with youngsters in their first season of competition. With throttles hard down to the floor, they barrel around the bends at nearly 100 miles per hour, and the faster cars soon begin to pull away from the field. Skill and experience begin to count as veteran fence busters pile on the power and steam by downstairs near the inside rail. As the end of the race draws near, every driver is fighting to finish in the money, and the traffic is terrific. Cars of all types, from converted stock jobs to the latest racing specials, take part in dirt track competition, but it's usually a high-powered speedster like this $10,000 chariot that crosses the finish line first. A few years ago, midget racing was inaugurated in California, and now the doodlebugs dash frantically around cinder ovals in the suburbs of many large cities. Just because they're little, many people think these midget cars are easy to handle, but there are plenty of big car drivers who won't ride in one of these for fame or folding money. Powered with outboard motors or small racing engines, they are fast and hot and a handful for any driver to manage. Many of America's best big car pilots spend most of their time in these rocket-riding roller skates. The goal of all race drivers in this part of the world is Indianapolis, where once each year more than 150,000 racing fans meet from all parts of the map to watch Speedway stars, the crack of the track, battle for a $100,000 purse. Before the race, drivers and their crews gather for a word of encouragement from Eddie Rickenbacker, famous war ace who heads the track management. Then, as the 0 hour approaches, cars are wheeled out to the line, taking the positions they have earned in preliminary time trials. In these few tense moments, all the hopes and fears of drivers, mechanics, and car owners build to a nerve-cracking climax of anxiety. In the pagoda, timers and scorers are ready, and the racers pull away from the line for the beginning of the paced lap, which precedes the official start. Slowly they pick up speed, following the pace set by a passenger car driven by officials of the American Automobile Association. Crowds in the stands and infield hear a thunderous roar as the cars complete the 2.5 miles of the paced lap and approach the starting line in perfect formation. The green flag drops and they're off. 200 long laps lie ahead as they whirl around the bank turns in the first circuit of the immense track. Before this lap is completed, the cars have already begun to string out, with the leaders setting a cylinder-cracking pace. Better than 100 miles an hour on the turns and as much as 140 on the long straightaways brings the average up to almost 2 miles a minute. Each car goes to the pits for refueling and tire changes during the 4-hour grind. In a race like this, the sleek European road racing cars would be completely outclassed, for only especially designed cars can stand the sustained high speeds of Indianapolis. Racing the clock around a speedway is a grinding game, but it's a sport for men with spirit and spine and a good grip on the wheel. And with throbbing thunder under the hood and a devil driver in the cockpit, it's the most thrilling sport since the invention of speed.